Hey guys.
Well, I didn't see a link in the email. That was my deal.
Oh, sorry. Well, okay, good. I sent it to you a moment ago.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I used the prior one.
You're good. Hannah
Yeah.
Northey, my wife wants to say hi and Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Merry Christmas to you guys. Tell her hi that we
Uh,
Yeah,
miss her.
she asks me every week, did you see Hannah today? I really want to talk to her.
uh,
And of course,
yeah,
she's got three little kids, so hanging out on the phone isn't what something she does a lot of.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I know. And we've been crazy. So every week, every month, we're like, we're gonna get on, and then we're somewhere else. So
I
yeah.
understand.
finally made it.
Very good. I love it. Lorraine Williams, it's been quite a while since I saw you. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Are you wintering well over there?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Very good. Excellent. All right, Walter, you should have screen permission and all that.
Okay.
I've got one thing I want to bring up here before we get started. I think the recording is going already, so I apologize if this first part is a little boring. We'll get our act together here. I've got everybody on the wrong side. All right, Walter, are you ready? Do you need anything before we get going?
No, I'm good, John. I'm good.
All right, great. I'm going to start with a screen share. First off, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and thank you all for being here. I am thrilled at how wonderfully well attended these webinars have been. I have been really thrilled and honored that Walter and Wally and a number of other people have been willing to contribute, and it has certainly been a fun year. As we wrap up this year, we have seen a ton of people that I think could benefit a great deal from the discussion we're having right now. And one of the points I want to emphasize is a point that we closed with last week, because I think I had 5 conversations one day with relatively young people that are all in this same position. And we are seeing a lot of people that are building very good businesses. They're really doing a nice job, and they are performing really well. And yet they are in the slog part of an exponential growth curve. There's a great riddle about, would you rather receive $1 million or a dollar that doubles every day? And it doesn't take very long at the beginning. You can see that doesn't feel like much is happening. Once you get a ways down the road, obviously the action gets pretty intense. This curve is an exponential growth curve. And when we talk about compounding, when we talk about investment, when we talk about the growth of bacteria in a petri dish, or in your intestines, this is the type of thing we all learn in basic biology. And I want to reemphasize, because I am seeing a lot of people that have really good businesses right now, and they get to the end of December and they're tired because there's a lot going on. And more than anything, I want to really encourage the people that are in this phase of the exponential growth curve. And we'll tell you if you're not. I'll just tell you that. But if you are in this stretch and we are saying you're doing a great job, keep going. There's a reason, because you haven't gotten to this, what we call an inflection point, right? Where the slope of this line really starts to change dramatically. If you've ever taken calculus, right, the derivative of this, the slope at any given time is changing as we go, right? And as you get to this point in the line, the slope is very steep. What we see in an exponential growth curve is an increase in the slope that is very, very slow at the beginning and rapid as you progress. And I see a lot of people that are in years 3 to 5 to 10 that are lingering around in this, and they don't feel a lot happening. If you've got a good business, if your margins are good, if you're managing things well, you're able to handle your debts, you will get through this part and get to this part. And there are a lot of people right now, I feel like we're encouraging to hang on, because you're almost there. It's going to take a little while. But Grant, the scrimping and saving, right? The maybe not having your wife's house of her dreams yet is gonna pay off. This is the part where Dave Ramsey's rice and beans is where we want to sort of live. And my wife is always quick to correct me that those rice and beans are beans and rice, Walter. Do you remember from our conversation with her the
Yeah,
other day?
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
specific way you're supposed to say that. But either way, when we're in this short period or this flat period here, I want you to keep going. I do not want to live in the traditional ag world where all we think about is equity growth, and the equity growth all comes from the appreciation of real estate, which generates no cash for our sake. I want to keep this focused on particularly our livestock and crop enterprises that are contributing to those retained earnings. Now, if you're a real estate trader, we can include the real estate, but most of us aren't, right?
That's right.
Most of us are living in some sort of legacy real estate situation. That's fine. And the livestock or the crops are where the action needs to be. It is the capturing the profits, reinvesting them strategically in the business, and growing that business that gets us to a fantastic place in the future. There have been multiple books written. I've quoted them here multiple times. Small business is the place to produce wealth in the United States of America. We have lots of tax advantages. We have lots of return advantages. We have lots of control. I don't have anything against, as most of you know, investing in the stock market. One thing I don't have a lot of control over, other than when I put money in and when I put money out, is what happens while it's gone. I have a lot of control over what happens in my business. And that's often where we see very high returns. And so the compounding rate can be very high. Walter, are you going to revisit the rule of 72 today?
A little bit. Yep.
Okay, great. I'm going to leave that for that discussion. I want to make sure we come back to that a little, but this is the thing we want to keep focused on. I am not interested in you slogging away for slogging's sake. My parents' work ethic is wonderful. I greatly appreciate it. My mother's in her mid 70s, probably still works 60 or 70 hours a week. It's awesome. I'm super impressed with her by that. But there's a difference. What I want is that level of work ethic to really pay off. And I think that's the part that often we miss in agriculture is let's convert our hard work into real returns. And those real returns mean that we convert ourselves from, piles of assets and piles of debt into something that sort of generates a river of money that continues to flow by us and future generations for the foreseeable future. I don't want that to be a static pile that we just draw down on constantly. I want that to be something that produces itself. We think about that in our financials. We think about that in our business. When we talk about building a business, we're talking very much about the same thing. We're talking about putting effort into things that generate returns in the future without our input, right? So when I train my child to wash the dishes, it takes me extra time now. I'm making a time investment, but in theory, she's going to be washing the dishes all by herself without my help very soon. Okay. Those in all facets of our business, we are trying to leverage this type of exponential growth. What's really going to be fun is when she can teach her sister how to wash the dishes, and then the two of them can work. They've already done this on a few things. Evelyn, we're in a train the trainer program. Evelyn learned how to clean the mudroom last year. She is currently training Heidi so that she can go on to cleaning the garage, right? The jobs get bigger, the tasks get bigger, the value gets bigger. And we want to continue that compounding process both in our finances and in the organization as a whole. So Walter and I have spent a fair amount of time talking about this over the last few years, and particularly over the last few months. If you missed last week's webinar, I strongly encourage you to attend it. When we talk about retained earnings, we are talking about the possibility of compound growth within a small business, and that's where Walter's going to continue with. So with that, I want to introduce Walter. And Walter, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you very much for being here.
Well, thank you, John. It's great to be here, and we've got I mean, excluding you and me, we've got 26 uh, on our call today. That's just absolutely fantastic.
Pretty
One
fun.
a couple things I was going to lead off with a little bit, John, is that um, this whole piece about plowing back into the business. I'm going to use I'm going to say non-ranch, non-farming, non-producer examples to get the point across today. Um, And one of the things I'm going to do, John, is I'm going to do something with Poll Everywhere, okay, to actually go through and maybe, kind of see where, some responses are. And then I'll go back and reinforce, the answers that we have from, or the choices that we have in that. Um, when you had that curve there, John, is I think a piece that we sometimes forget about is the land resource and the finance resource can be tied together. And
Correct.
and I mean, I'm a CPA. I mean, they never, ever, ever, in my courses talked about biological capital. And God bless one of the mentors that you and I had would be Walt Davis. I mean, he hammered on me about biological capital. And if you haven't, I mean, whoever's on here today, maybe if you're looking for some Christmas gifts or something, look up Walt Davis's, some of his books. And I mean, they're golden. Yeah, there you go.
Cerebral ranching is one. How not to go broke ranching is another. I got a few of them right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. And another one is um, Green Revolution Delusion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, I
Let's just stop for just a second though there because Walt Davis was a very good friend to us,
correct.
and he died 3 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh,
When was it, Wally? It was after we were down in Texas.
right.
Anyway, long story short, Walt was one of
It's probably 3 to 4.
yeah, Walt was one of very few that wrote stuff down. Chip Hines, same way, right? Chip Hines wrote books. Walt Davis wrote books. He
Right.
left he left knowledge for us to grow from.
And that's a great point to say, John, because so many that are say I'm gonna say Wally and I mean Wally and I are the same age.
Yep.
And there's some things that we have in parallel and we spar awesome. I mean we chat about this frequently. And I'm gonna say the space between the ears, where there's a lot of bulk density in agriculture. Okay, we want to make sure that the knowledge that I'm going to say some of the sages like Walt and I know
Alan
that's
Nation's another one George just mentioned, which is very true.
yeah, right, right,
Right?
right. But that needs to be shared. And
Agree.
so I mean, what I'm getting at is we don't want the library to close.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
And the reason we do these webinars is so that we get the library of Walter Lynn and Wally Olson, that the ones that are living, we preserve that library. It's a little different format, but same idea.
Right. Because I mean, there was a wonderful man that was here in Spring, in Illinois. He was a plant pathologist, and his license plate was crop doctor. Okay, but he got the big C, and he was a solo guy, and the library closed.
Yep.
So anyway, I mean, God bless that what we're doing here, and because as an example, Bud Williams always talked that we could, if things weren't going well at Ranch A and we wanted to leave tomorrow morning Ranch A and go to Ranch B, we have knowledge that we can go to Ranch B and start off with. So
Yep.
okay, and that's an exponential thing.
Totally agree.
Okay. So let me get here. Okay. I got something I want everybody to do. You can either go to this poll at everywhere.com and uh, go. You can go on the web, or you can send a text to 22333 and type in W Lynn 320, and you can answer these questions. But I just want to see a little check in. How's everybody feeling 6 days before Christmas? Just text one word. I'll give you a couple minutes.
I just put the link to the website in the chat.
Okay.
And you have to sign in, give them your name to start.
Right. Oh, we got a great. That's awesome. Jolly holy. Holly. Unprepared.
I'm gonna second unprepared.
Yeah, it's the way with me. God bless everybody's picking up on this today. Great.
I will say on the unprepared front, you can't see it, but in the background right here is a stack of boxes, which is stuff that my mother-in-law and mother have sent to our children. So my unpreparedness is being covered by
Yeah, God bless her.
Gigi and
Yeah,
Mimi. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Anybody struggling to use the webpage or the app?
It's awesome that we're doing this today. You're
Is that fun?
technically you've done a great job, John, in training the clients.
They're all significantly younger than I am, so that's the advantage.
I know. Yeah,
With maybe one other exception, Olson. That's I think you're the only other one that's
yeah,
might be
yeah,
older than me.
yeah. But I love this word cloud thing. Cautious, grateful. Oh, yeah. That's a great way to look at this. Okay, I just wanted to get a little taste of where everybody was on this today. Okay, now John, you and I want another one that we're going to do is we're going to Olson and I want some information.
Ah. Oh, Ricky's gonna love this.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna mess it up.
Ricky Kane, if you're there, I don't think you can hear you.
Oh, 39-ish.
I like
Oh,
that.
is that a permanent deal?
When I tell people that I'm celebrating the 23rd anniversary of my 29th birthday, they're like, huh? Who's the 64? That's interesting. We don't see many of those. I like it.
Some of us don't learn very fast, John. So we get it.
Oh,
Oh, you're learning, Mark. You know a lot of stuff.
I just have to relearn it all the time. It's my problem.
Yeah, that's my problem. You get hit in the head enough, that happens. Ricky, if you need to, the address for the website to respond is in the chat. You must be in the car, so there's a set of text instructions on the screen too.
right.
Anybody having trouble using the app that is trying? Okay.
We're getting pretty good response, John.
I don't know how we calculate the average when we include 39-ish, but I mean we're 40 and under primarily. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, and that's one of the things I went to lunch today with a guy that right now he's the oldest guy in my high school class. Okay, he's a January birthday. Okay,
Mhm.
oh, 1951 model. Okay,
Yeah.
and anyway, I made a comment. He said, "Well, what are you doing the rest of the day or whatever?" And I had to share with him that, I was doing this this afternoon, and I made the comment, just what we're seeing here. I mean, on the ages, John.
Yeah.
I just think it's fabulous because the real wealth in agriculture is, I mean, there's pieces. The real wealth is what we do to invest in the next generation, and that's what we're doing. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I see that Olson hasn't responded to this. Wally, is this working for you? He might have stepped out of the room.
Yeah. Ha ha. Okay. You got 39 each and a ha ha. Okay.
I want to know what
Ac-
actually means. Is that 40 actually?
yeah. So, okay. All right. So, wanted a little something a little light today to get off. Okay. Because,
Good.
okay. Now here, this is the next one. Okay. Now we're going to do some thought. We're going to make some
Oh
thoughts.
boy.
Okay. Now, okay. How much money, uh, um, at 15 years of age, okay, I mean, there's going to be some folks in here that have teenagers. Do you have to save per year at 10% for 45 years to accumulate $1 million?
By when? 45 years. Okay.
Yeah,
So by
45 plus
60.
50. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, by 60.
Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
All right. Oh,
Per year. Okay. Hmm. Somebody changed their answer. Oh,
yeah,
just more people voted. I get it. Okay.
yeah.
Can I vote multiple times?
No,
45 years is a long time.
I know. That's the lever.
Tyson, you should be able to do this in your head, right?
I'll go a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay.
There's one more. This is a slick little tool, Walter. I like it.
Yeah, I thought, John, you probably would. Okay.
We need Jeopardy music again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we'll have to get Cinnamon to figure that out. Oh, got some other still going on.
Well, there's
Oh,
still activity.
yeah. Let me tell you where I've done this before, John, and the participants in Boy Scouts.
Mm.
There's a financial management badge.
Yep. Taught it many times.
Right. And it's fascinating to ask this question to the because you have to have it to get the eagle.
Yep.
So, but I mean everybody, everybody they try to give it to everybody, but it's one of the requirements for to get the eagle, and it's just I mean there's so many ahas when you're in that role. Okay. I'm gonna have to say 31% got it right. Okay.
Love it. And so that's $100 a month, basically, right?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
$105 a month.
Right. Okay. Now, getting back to my Boy Scouts, um,
Hang on one sec. Kevin, I think you just joined us. The website upper left is in the chat. Okay.
Okay.
all right, the goal here is we got to get $1 million by age 65. Okay. and or by age 60, excuse me. One starts at 15, and the other one starts at 25. How much has to be contributed per year to hit if we wait? Oh, we got some ties.
Can you hear that music or does it filter?
I don't hear it.
Turns out there's a 15-minute loop of Jeopardy music on YouTube.
Oh, oh,
So Walter, you talk about doing that with the Boy Scouts. I was in JC's when I was in my young 20s, and they had a financial planner come in and explain that. And so I started saving $200 a month, and that's how I bought my first ranch.
yeah, yeah,
Hot
because,
damn. Nice job, Mark.
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, yeah. Another,
Where did you
uh,
find the 10% interest?
well, yeah,
Doesn't
yeah,
come
I
without
just
risk.
yeah,
okay, all
The
right.
yeah,
S&P 500. Come on.
yeah. The S&P, you'll hit it pretty close with the S&P. Okay. This one, it is the 2.65 times.
So
Okay.
10 years means that you have to invest 2.5 times as much
Yep.
per year.
Yeah.
And 2.5 times we were at, what were we at? We were at 1,200. We were at 105 a month. So you would be at 200, instead of 105, you'd be at 270, 275 per month.
Okay. All right. Now here's one for you too. We got two twins. We got anybody on here that's a twin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you the twin, or has you got a twin brother or a twin sister?
Oh, I have twins.
Oh, you have twins.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
Are your twins about a year old now, a year and a half?
Yeah, they're 17 months.
Love it.
Okay. Yeah, you might want. I'll send you. I can send a copy of this slide, and you can put it under their pillow. Okay. Okay. There's a timing difference here. You've got one waits till they wait 8 years before they start. They start at age 30, and the other one starts at age 22.
Can you hear the music now?
I'm starting to get it.
Okay.
Do 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 do.
Has everybody just gone to what they think is they just gonna get?
Oh,
There we go. Good. We need a demo of how many answers we have in.
yeah, I'll have
With
that
these
later.
percentage ones, it's a little tough.
Yeah. I can send you that later, John.
Yeah. Four to one. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. This question, John, came from um, friend of mine who was working on an executive MBA at the University of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And he is actually a twin also. And the actually twin one is the one that has the better deal. Okay. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But with what this means is that delay they never catch. That's the moral of the story.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and the 7,000 is a Roth is an IRA number is where I pulled that.
Yeah. It's the
Okay.
cap on your IRA contribution.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Kevin, I just emailed you that too if you couldn't find it. It's in the chat. You can click
Yeah.
on it in the chat or I sent it to your email if that helps.
Yeah. Okay.
There's also one of those take a picture of the barcode thing on there too if you can do that with your phone.
Yeah. So, okay.
Okay, love it. Good.
All right. Now, let me go back here, John, and I'm going to get out of because this is all I had on the poll everywhere. Okay, but I'm going to get out of this way. Okay. Thank you for. I just wanted to share that little piece of information. Now let's go and we'll look at this a little bit more. Okay. Now, this is the Boy Scout example. And what we're doing here is what's in the graph. Here's the 2.6 times. That's how much extra you have to put in per month. Okay. All right. I mean that's the 2.65 and it's the 10% rate. And that's when you look at S&P and the market, that's a pretty good number over time. And so I mean I think some of the things that John and the Ranch Right team that's sometimes a goal. We want to be that S&P plus when we're looking at our businesses. Okay. So, but I mean, what you're ending up and looking at is how much you have to put in per year is 2.65 times more. And the total dollars in is actually about 2 times more, in the process to get to the $1 million. Okay. And
Meaning your contribution has to be the portion that you actually pay in is that much bigger because the growth is smaller.
right, correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then another piece of it is I said, well, if the total dollars in was going to be that 57,000, you can see it only accumulates to 400. It only accumulates to 48% of the $1 million. So I mean,
Does everybody understand this? So when we compare that to that curve I showed you,
that's right. There you go.
right? That 10-year difference is worth $520,000, $515,000.
Right.
Whereas the other 35 years,
Yep.
But
only
it's still
contribute
better
about
than not doing it at all. So even if you're late,
absolutely.
Well, I'd agree.
100%.
I agree.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I don't want I don't want this to sound like, we're beating anybody up because they haven't done any of this. Okay. But what it's somewhat, I think it's a teaching moment when you're working with youth or you're working with another within your family, etc. Because I mean, just think of what you could do with a Roth IRA, whatever in the process. So anyway, that's the point of this. Okay.
And I'm going to argue that a Roth IRA, for most of you of the options in front of you, a Roth IRA is the worst option you could choose. Not that it's a bad option.
Right.
It's just far from the best option.
Right.
George
Okay.
Walker pouring into his business is way better than into a Roth IRA.
Yeah, I would agree. Right.
Not to mention there's no cap on how much you can grow it.
Correct. And so here's the $1 million, and you can see the how much is your contribution in the two scenarios. Okay. All right. And then here's the situation with the twins. Okay, the one twin, he just makes a contribution early on. He makes 8 deposits of 7,000. And then at retirement, there's 2.474 million. Okay, and all they put in was $56,000.
How old were you when you sold your firm, Walter?
I sold it in 14, so it'd have been 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I think for most of us as we look forward, I retiring in my early to mid 60s just doesn't sound very entertaining to me.
right.
I think most of us can anticipate a working life, maybe a different working life than we currently participate in, but a working life well into our mid 70s. Is that fair?
Correct. I would say, but we have to follow. We got to watch what we eat.
I agree.
Right. So the cost of the weight is $387,000.
But boy, you had fun during those years, right?
Right.
Hopefully the party was worth it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And then, so then this is the, um, you can see that's how much the one twin had over the other one. So now let's think about what we've gone through. I've used basically an investment scenario. Okay. Now, what if you go and I'm going to change something here, John, if that's okay. All
Great.
right. All right. So, I mean, let's just look at if we, I mean, if you're plowing back, I'm gonna change my ages here. Just well, let me make this just a little bit different here. I'm gonna be I'm gonna use your you want to do 75, John?
Yeah.
How much we're gonna plow back? I'll plow back
Well, if we're doing
25,000.
this in an IRA context, we're capped right now at 7,000, right? But then you get after you're 55, you get a
Yeah,
$1,000 bump.
but what I was gonna do is let's just say you plow back 25,000.
Oh, there, if we're out of the cap, then yeah, that,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Everybody see that number? 20 million.
All right.
How about what if you started that at 40?
Okay.
I still think you're going to be in the 10 million range, right?
All right.
All right,
So
seven and a
seven
half,
and a half. Right.
which only sounds small compared to 20.
Right. So what I'm trying to get at is, well, now, John, do we need to change the
Yeah,
rate?
yeah, this is the part that we need to really get after.
Because, we don't, I mean, you start out with, T-bill, you start out with cash, you start out with T-bills, you start out with S&P, but we have some risk here, right?
Yep.
So do we want to, I mean, you and I kick around 15.
Yeah, 15 to 20, I think, is where we really want to be here. So 5 percentage points in your rate of return makes a 18 million dollar difference over a 35 work year.
Yeah, let me do it. Let me do a deal where I'll make them comparable. Is that okay?
That's great. And this is the place where when we talk about returns in small business, there are two big levers here that contribute. One of them is that rate of return. The other, when you add the tax advantage in,
How about that, John?
I love that. That looks great.
Okay.
Anybody want to argue with that number?
I mean, that kind of fits in our age group a little bit, doesn't it, John?
Mm-hmm. Bump it to 20%, Walter, just for kicks. Or maybe copy it and let's do 20. I want to do 20. And then if you recall, we've looked at an example recently where it was 39.6 over 18-year period-ish. Is that right? 12-year period?
Oh, you want this to be 20, John? Is that what you said?
Make that 20, yep. Which from what we see is very doable. It's an $88 million return in 35 years. One more, and that one was what was the time horizon? Was it 18 years on the 39.6?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
So that 39.6 was the return over an 18-year period. So make that 58, 40 to 58, maybe. There we go. No. Yeah, is that right? 75 minus 58, 17.
Okay, got it.
Now make it 39.6%. That was the realized. Point.
I know, wait.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's if you plowed it all back in.
that's if you plot it all back in. Yep,
Not bad return on 18 years worth of work.
no. So, I mean, this is, I mean, I think Ben Franklin kind of started this, didn't he, John?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he started it, but he's darn sure the one that made it famous, right?
Right. Right. So, but, we got any questions? Go ahead.
The eighth wonder of the world does not care if you're tall or short, fat or thin, black or white, green or blue, gay or straight, male or female, Republican or Democrat. It doesn't care where you live. It works.
Right.
When we invest, and especially when we invest in a high performing business, we have an opportunity to generate a lot of money. And what's so sad is most people, excuse my French, piss it away. They have the opportunity to do it and they don't capitalize on it. And when you think about the amount of waste that really is, just like, people in their 20s who spend all their money on, cell phones and whatever else, big tires for their trucks, that is a very, very expensive choice.
Right.
Is that earnings number? That's not all cash, right? That's turning those cattle into owned cattle and the land into owned land. There's no
Correct. It can be multiple things. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well,
So go ahead, Walter. Sorry.
It's really interesting that I'm glad that question came up
Mhm.
because first you have to think about, John and I were talking about pillow talk in our preparation. Okay, so I mean, number one, we have to get that part right with our spouses, or our, not plural on spouse, but I'm saying our spouse.
You meant for all of us, yes.
Yeah, right.
We're
but
not advocating polygamy.
no. But
I was just
Sorry,
trying to know, was
Malachi.
it you and Walter doing the pillow talk, John?
We're not advocating that
no,
either.
we're not advocating that either. Yeah,
But Wally Olson and I have spent multiple, I've told people this before. Yeah, Wally and Olson, when I were talking as we were falling asleep. Yeah. Sorry, in our separate beds in a hotel room.
right. But but what you get down to is that you have to look at where you want to invest it. And I think there's a spot where we get out of kilter. And I mean, I made the comment, John, about having lunch with my high school classmate today. God bless him. He worked for Farm Credit, and I mean his whole life. And I think there's a tendency: do we invest in the right assets at the start of our career? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, John?
Yes, it does. And you can see that it's kind of critical to try to get it right as early as possible.
Right. But the flip side of that is I'm okay, John, with an 80-year-old being 20 or 30% in debt to asset.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because
100%.
yeah, I mean,
Why?
well, big picture, they have the strength, the equity to do it. Okay. And I mean, they're in a position that they can do it
Yeah.
in the process
We'll
too.
play with it here in just a minute.
Yeah.
How's that?
I'll be downstairs.
Okay.
But I mean, it was like I was chatting with I I mean, even on mix of livestock.
Yep.
I mean, if you're doing something that's has a high cost I'm gonna say per animal, okay, would you rather turn something that's a $2,000 animal, or would you rather turn $1,000 animal? You get what I'm saying there, John?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I think we have to get back and actually, it's almost like it's somewhat of a moving target in our life.
Yep. It is a moving target in our life, and I'm gonna say the way we play this game is gonna change throughout our life also.
Yeah, correct.
I think Wally is the perfect example of that, right? There's a part in the beginning where you're elbow deep in axle grease and cow crap and everything else. And then there's a point in your life where you've built up the system so that you are able at 75 to continue producing the same amount of value, but in a very different way.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yay. But one thing I'd like to say here is is different stages in life is
Right.
And you just need to you need to understand that you do not need to you can have other people do things for you. Matter of fact, there's a whole lot of people that do things for me that do it better than I ever can do it. And I think everybody on this deal would probably agree with that on some things, And
Right.
and one thing I'm really looking at right now is, what do I really do well, and what don't I? And then I'm looking for people to what I don't want to do or don't do well, have somebody that does it well, and we will be a lot happier and stuff, in my humble opinion.
Right.
Can I share another great book that I read when I turned 50 that I should have read when I turned 35? Arthur Brooks, you may know him. He's a columnist. He's written a book called From Strength to Strength.
Mm.
And it is a wonderful book about how our abilities decline as we age. And if you are over 35, it's a little depressing. I will just say that. He doesn't paint a very good picture. because he uses some data that shows that our abilities decline much faster than we think in lots of things. That said, he contrasts that with our ability to contribute and create value. And
Oh, the difference in that, yeah.
correct. And those two things travel in opposite trajectories, right? Our ability to do hard physical work as we go from 18 to 48, right, is a pretty negative trend. Okay. Our ability to add value from 18 to 48 goes way up.
Right.
And of course, it goes up much more from 48 to 68. But learning how to work with other people, learning how to organize, learning how to make yourself effective appropriately for your stage of career is where he finds that people find the most joy and happiness and where they can wind up contributing the most. So Walt Davis, near the end of his life, might not have been able to do physically what the rest of us could have done at that time, but he was busy writing books.
And he thought so much of the people that came to see him.
Oh
too.
man.
Yeah, that was
And
I
how
mean,
lucky were we to get him to come to the ranch and drive around and look at stuff with us for 10 hours. I mean, his
right,
eyes saw a lot more than the rest of us.
right. Yeah. I'm gonna diverge just a second, John.
Okay.
One of the things that I think that's somewhat amazing. God bless the talent that's on this call, John. And why I want to say that, okay, there's observation skills that are on this call that are an advantage. And the piece I'm going with on this, if you take I'm gonna make a graph of observation skills and soil health. The longer in the Corn Belt that the livestock has been away from the farm, the observation skills have gone down.
Yep. We become engineers, not biologists.
Right. And I mean, that sounds probably a little bit harsh, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, would anybody argue that?
So, okay.
Love it.
Okay. Hope this has helped. And I added this into my other spreadsheet, John. I can send it to your team.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Questions? Thoughts?
But that reinvestment piece, that's I mean, what we're trying to do is, I mean, you need alignment with the pillow talk at home, the business partners that are around the table. Um, but I think when you have the conversations, that's where the power is in hitting these targets that we're looking at. And there's a piece too, I think um, I think so much. I mean, there was a little bit of a comment too, John, about what we do um, with delayed gratification, and that was part of your curve.
Yep.
Okay.
That's Ramsey's beans and rice part.
Yeah. Okay.
You scrimp early and it has a big lever. The money you scrimp on early has a lot more value than the money you scrimp on late.
Right. So, okay.
You know, you talk about scrimping. I was reading about, there was some CEO and this was a lady and she's been very successful. And somebody said, you know, what's the two most things that you did to be successful? And said, I make my own cup of coffee in the morning. And when I go out to eat, I order water. So, you know, I thought that was pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And one,
All
one
right,
thing, going
Go ahead,
back,
Walt.
well, one thing is little things, like I said, the Slight Edge, that book just changed my life. I mean, you got to understand there's little things you don't even realize you're doing that all of a sudden turn into big things. And
That's another great book. I think I have a copy of right over my shoulder here.
What book was that?
The Slight Edge, it's written by my brother, Mark Olson, I think. I can't remember now.
Jeff Olson.
Huh?
Jeff Olson.
Jeff, excuse me. I got so many brothers, I forget some of them. But
The
that
Slight
is,
Edge. And it's that thick, so it just
yeah.
takes a short read. Doesn't take you very long.
And it's just little things build into big things. And
Yeah.
Kind of a book about momentum a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
well,
Okay, I put links to both those books in the chat if you're interested.
Yeah.
Just the Amazon link.
As far as
Okay.
growing the business,
Yes.
John or Walter, Walt, whoever, and being in that long original stage or beginning stage of it where it seems like there's not much happening, but you're starting to turn that crank. Is there a time where you mash that accelerator calculatedly, or do you just continue doing what you're doing as long as the ratios are saying stay on this path? Is it just one of those slow and steady type things, or is it to where you start taking additional risk that you wouldn't have originally taken?
Great question.
Right.
Walter, I'm going to let you start that one. That's a hard answer.
I'm in a camp that it's slow and steady.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think it's slow and steady, and it's patience, and you just have to be watching your numbers in the process. That would be my feedback to you, Treg. Okay.
and Trig, to me, if you're making 15 or 20% margin in your business and you're reinvesting it, you start putting 20% growth in there and compounding it in 5 years, it gets to be phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah,
And I do
so
wanna-
that exponential growth is more like a carrot than anything.
It's more like what?
A carrot.
It's kind of like that carrot that's dangled out in front of you, as opposed to if you're like Wally just said, I hadn't thought about that way, but if you're able to reinvest 15 to 20% every year, you actually are putting the foot on the accelerator, but not taking the risk with leverage.
Yeah, and I do think there are times when you're gonna feel like you're mashing on the accelerator, but I do think we have to remember that this is not a sprint.
Oh.
And we have got to pace ourselves. You're gonna pace yourself at a slightly uncomfortable level, but what we see often is people get too uncomfortable and then they blow up.
Yeah.
Whether emotionally or financially in both cases. And what you really don't want to do is blow yourself up. I think I told you guys before in past webinars, about 2 years ago, we had a number of customers that, as far as we were concerned, were on the path. We're doing great. We're right there knocking at the door. And I think 3 of them right about the same time said, we can't do this anymore. We're going to quit. And they left and went and got a W-2 job. And that was heartbreaking because it's like, oh, you are right there. We're in it. Again, I think we get to this time of year sometimes and people are maybe a little short on cash and maybe they're looking at a tax bill. Maybe, again, the days are short, times are a little dark. I certainly do a lot. My mood is a lot better when it's sunny and there is a 16-hour day. But we've got to know we're doing the right thing and we've got to keep after it. And it's that persistence. There's a great, if you've ever read the book Grit, she has her formula for success, and in that formula for success is the underlying presumption that endurance is better than intensity. So if I'm going to train for a marathon and I go out one day and run 12 miles, That is not nearly as good as running, 3 miles every day for a period of time. And I'm not saying 3 miles a day is adequate to train for a marathon. I hope you understand what I mean there, but it's the days and weeks and months and years of preparation that really produce the biggest results. Think
And
of
I think, yeah, that's, you can apply that to diet, you can apply it to your
Yep,
workouts or whatever.
100%.
All right. There's so many parallels.
Yep.
And another thing is, you're going to get knocked down, just get back up, and understand that you're getting back up at a completely different level. And that's a big thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
My brother's 15 years older than me, and he told me that the only difference between quote unquote successful people and quote unquote unsuccessful is that the successful person got back up one more time.
That's right.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, at 73 years old, I'm still getting back up. Oh, and let me tell you what, it's tough. No, I'm just kidding.
But you're a lot smarter, right?
Oh man. Well, maybe if you would do an analyze Wallace Olson, maybe I'm not all that much smarter.
The problem is the universe of mistakes we can make is infinite, and you don't really ever make a dent in that pool, do you?
No, but it's sure been fun.
That's another piece that we haven't put into this is what you do, is it fun?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Okay.
And I go back, Walter, Pat Lencioni and the Table Group do a great job with their Working Genius program. If you've never looked that up, tablegroup.com, I believe it is, or workinggenius.com. He's written a book, has done a bunch of, he has a podcast, a Working Genius podcast, I believe, too. And one of the things they talk about is, do the activities that you do at work give you energy or suck the life out of you?
Yes.
And there are lots of things I do that I wouldn't necessarily describe as fun, but man, they light me up.
Yep.
And I think of them as fun. Again, my wife's description of my job is I play on the computer and talk to my friends all day on the phone, right? That's literally what I do. But man, like the other day, I had 5 meetings in a row with people who absolutely killed it this year in their business, added hundreds of thousands to their net worth this year. And these are people that are under 35, right? So they're killing it. And it's like, man, there is nothing funner than that. I had a hard time going to sleep that night, So anyway, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you do Rule of 72?
I didn't, but I can do it.
That'd be great. Let's wrap up with that and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah. The rule of 72 is if you take interest and time, okay. Okay, so if you have 9% and you have 8 years, 9 times 8. Now, you learned how to multiply at Utah State, did you, John?
No, I learned it before that, fortunately.
Okay, I was just checking to
I did
see
not
what.
learn multiplication from Fred. That was one of the things left out of that course.
Okay, all right, but 9 times 8 equals 72. So what that means is if you have 9% interest in 8 years, okay, and if you have 100,000 at the end of the 8 years, it's going to be worth 200.
And so use 20%, Walter Lynn.
Yeah. So it's 3.5 years, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, do you want me to go back to Excel and prove it, John?
No, I just want to make sure everybody knows that rule is a really good, quick, dirty. You can divide by 72 all day long. I realize that's not the most easy number to divide by, but make it 70 for kicks, right?
Right.
72 when you're dividing by 20. If you're dividing by 36, right? Now we're doubling our money every other year. I will say that outside the range of normal investment returns, the rule of 72 breaks down. It is not perfect.
Right.
It isn't a good approximation.
Right.
We see some super high returns in the businesses we work with. And those have allowed people to really change their financial position. I don't care how often politicians tell you that you know, you just can't get ahead in this economy, right? It's just America is unfair, right? I mean, there are all kinds of things stacked against you, all absolute crap. We don't teach people financial basics, and therefore we don't know the rules of the game, and therefore we can't win when you don't know the rules. Right? I don't play volleyball. My wife does. My wife likes to play volleyball against me because not only do I not know how to play the game, like I don't even know the rules. I don't understand how scoring happens. So it's a hard game for me to play. I'm bigger than my wife. I'm stronger than my wife. I'm faster than my wife. I should be able to be better at this game. I'm not. I don't understand the rules. It's the same with finance. If you don't understand the rules, you're not going to win. And the rules are pretty simple.
One other thing I would like to point out, we need to be also focused on after-tax dollars.
Right. Right.
Agreed.
You know,
Right.
that's where wealth is.
Right.
Which is the other place that small business has such a big advantage over regular investing, is
Yes.
that we have deductible expenses, right? We can own a cow or a rental house that is increasing in value while taking tax depreciation.
Yes.
We can experience appreciation and generate cash flow all while not selling the underlying asset. Right? A
Right.
cow will make me a new one. I've heard 3 or 4 people in the last few months talk about how hard it is to make a living in agriculture. Our inventory, particularly in livestock agriculture, reproduces itself, like
Yes.
kind of by itself. If I don't keep the bulls out, they'll get in. I have to move the neighbor's bulls out of my cows, not, we have a funny friend in Nevada, and they have 2 neighbors that both raise seed stock bulls. And the funny thing is, they ran a bunch of feeder heifers last summer, and a pile of them were pregnant. Not because they spent money to get them pregnant, but because the neighbors' bulls got bored after they bred their cows and came and did theirs for free.
So, John, in light of this whole time value of money exercise that Walter put on,
Yeah.
to I don't know if I want to say stir the pot here, but I've got a young son that you're well aware of, and some others that as I look at the investment in college in the best time of your life to be making and investing money, boy, you have to get one obscenely good degree these days to justify pissing away the first best 4 years of your life.
And early in your life.
Yes.
Couldn't agree more. And I think we've actually talked about this before, have we not, Mark?
I don't. We might have up there at that sim course or something. I don't know, but
Let's say instead of making 60,000 a year from 20 to 24 and paying 15,000 a year in tuition and other things, that's a $75,000 turnaround. What if you were using that money instead to invest in something that was going to continue growing for another 40, 45 years? I think the old promise of the value of education has declined, and I am certainly not against education. I think I've become increasingly against traditional education. I think we have to be lifelong learners. I think the resources we have available to us at this point, even if it's just YouTube, are absolutely astounding, and have a lot of value. So just like you're saying, if instead of spending money on somebody else's program, we spend money on our program and we keep working, we do very, very well.
I just think that there's too many better options than a bunch of professors that couldn't make it in the real world trying to suck, teaching you English literature and a few other things. And when you look at this program, Ranching for Profit, and 100 others, there's just better ways to educate yourself than bricks and mortars with a bunch of professors.
I'm going to tell you, I have an English lit friend who is a very good thinker, and that's what he got out of his college degree. I think we have to be careful. Good point.
Well,
Really good point.
one thing, spending time with Bud Williams, I learned to be, the only book he ever gave me to read was The Art of Contrary Thinking. And so whoever I'm talking to, my deal is how can I offset, be on the other side of, and in agriculture, to me, two of the biggest things that paradigms is that one, agriculture can't be profitable. It can be horrendously profitable. And then it goes back, you don't want to, managing your taxes is stupid. No, it isn't. You need to be focused on getting after tax dollars. And that's my two big things right now is, I'm always looking.
But we also all agree that this absolutely starts with a profitable business.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
The engine in this is profitability, right? And
Yes.
so if you're not profitable, don't worry about the taxes. That's not
Yes.
that's not hurting you. You have
Yes.
got to get really profitable.
Yeah.
After you have that, then you get really good at reinvesting, and you reinvest in such a way to manage your tax liability and get the government essentially to invest with you in your business. Okay, any other questions? Good stuff, guys.
I put John.
Yeah.
I put a rule of 72 in my spreadsheet.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. I am curious for those of you that are left. It's December. The days are short. Grant Harder, are you tired these days? I know you're driving.
Yes, I am, and I have to consciously watch myself. And this is where Bob Palmer's training comes in, because I know the days are shorter, and I have a land payment due tomorrow, and I've spent lots of money on cattle, and it's like, you just get frustrated. Whereas in the summer, we're selling cattle and everything's rosy, and I have to remember to not get down in the dumps.
Good. I like it. I don't know how much I have a rough idea of how much you've spent on cattle in the last 6 weeks. Between you and Olson, it's like, holy smokes, holy cow, where does all the money go?
It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, good. So he referenced the Zone Rancher program that we run through ranching.fyi. I put a link to that in the comments also. Bob Palmer helps us do what Bud used to instruct us to do, which is keep your mind right. So that's something he helps us with, which is great. George, I imagine you're the same. Minnesota winters are long and dark, aren't they? I don't know why I can't hear you. You unmuted yourself and your mouth's moving. I'm going to take that as a yes.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I want to share something with you. I got a text from Poll Everywhere.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and the text it says, looks like you've got audience engagement down pat. At least one of your activities is nearing its limit, because I've got a 25 deal on the questions.
Good.
Your age question has received 24 responses out of your plans allotted 25 per question. So God bless everybody that was on here.
Thank you for participating.
Yeah.
George, can we hear you now? Still muted somehow. Nah, I can't see it. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you tired? Yeah. Treg, same for you?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Plug the winter conference. I just reached out to Jessica.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah. So that's the other thing. We're going to, the week of February 17th, is it? We're doing a conference down in Alabama again this year. So there's going to be information on the website shortly.
Yeah, she said she's going to get it out here soon.
Yeah. Everybody that's on our email list should be seeing that hopefully by the end of the week. Anyway, good. Any questions? I can't tell you enough at this. Even if you don't currently have a good business, you are working at building one. That is part of the curve. Even if you're making mistakes and you're learning stuff, right? You're paying tuition. That is part of the curve. You're becoming a better stock person. That's part of the curve, right? All of the things you learn contribute. All of the people you develop within your business contribute. The processes you develop in your business contribute. In some cases, the infrastructure you build in your business contributes. All of these things will be for your good.
Okay.
But it'll take a while. You're gonna have to grind. If you haven't read Grit by Angela Duckworth, I recommend it. If you haven't read The Slight Edge, I recommend it. You just got to keep going. And you keep going with your financial management, you keep going with your education, you keep going with your your physical development, your mental development, all of that stuff. You got to keep building and stack these things together because it is so easy. And again, I guarantee Walter and Wally will echo this point even more. I'm let's say I'm 30, 35-ish years into a working career. I am amazed how quickly it has gone by. There have been some parts that seemed like they sucked. They just didn't last very long, And I think to my kids who, boy, sometimes just getting to the end of a long car ride seems like an eternity, right? The older you get, the shorter those things look. And I think I'm assuming in my 70s, I look back and it's even shorter. These things keep on going.
Well, John, life's like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes.
Oh man.
That's a good one.
I hate to be this way, but coming from Mark, when you are the shits, you understand those things. Nothing personal.
Let's keep this reasonable.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Wow.
it.
Sorry,
Rated
Mark.
on
I
YouTube.
couldn't resist.
That was good. I love it. All right. Any other thoughts or comments? I just can't encourage you enough to keep going. You may not be doing it right, but you're doing it right. Like, keep going, keep adjusting, keep changing, keep going. You don't quit now because there's a long road ahead of you still, right? It is a marathon, not a sprint, but man, the reward is impressive. So, I know Grant's running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and I know he loves writing that mortgage check. Like, there's just no greater joy than whipping that thing out there. But it is worth it. It will work. So with that, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas to everyone. It's been,
And I am so excited for what 2025 is going to bring. I think it's going to be a wild ride.
I hope so.
Be exciting.
yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So, you bet. Thank you all. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Be great. Bye.
John and Walter, Wally, thank you.
Oh, awesome. Be great, Grant.
Thank you, Grant.
Do I need to call anybody, Grant, and tell them?
What's that?
Is there anybody I need to call and tell them that you're awesome?
Hey, call my wife.
Okay, give me your number.
She wants your address, actually. She heard you on this earlier. She wants to send you a card.
Oh, okay. So I think I got your
So I'll
email.
text you.
Okay, I think I got
I'll
your
text you
email.
next.
All right.
Okay.
Be great. Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Hey, you guys have a great afternoon.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Yeah. So